Action.
What kind of action? Come closer.
Hello everyone, welcome to Heather and Hops. My name's Alex, or Alex.
That was good.
It's going to be a weird one.
It is going to be a weird one, forgive us. My name is Katt. I'm a knitter based in Hertfordshire in the United Kingdom, and this is my little space where I have documented my knitting journey from Project 1 and cultivated a sense of community, but also kind of brought my husband into the knitting world a little bit more.
Yeah.
I don't quite know how this is going to go. We've got loads to talk about, loads more than I think Alex realises. But I'll start off by what I'm wearing today. I am wrapped up quite heavily. I'm actually starting to get warm, which is nice, but it's been a up and down day for me. I'm wearing my I'm wearing my Land Girl jumper by Whistlebear, but knitted in Peace Fleece in the colourway Amaranth, and it is absolutely snuggly as you can get. One of my favourite jumpers, even though I finished it not that long ago really, not while it was cold. And then this is a variation of my wedding shawl called Find the Path, because it now has a name, which is now released, but is also perfect for one person wrapping up or two people on the sofa. But I think you're going to be warm enough because you're also wearing a lot of wool.
Yeah, I've got all my knitwear on. Not all of it.
No, quite a bit though.
Do you want me to go through what I'm wearing?
You can.
Starting with my jumper.
Yeah.
Big 722.
Yeah. You want to talk about your jumper?
So I am wearing a jumper that I knitted myself in Drops Nepal. It's a plain black raglan jumper that Katt kind of helped me along. We just decided where to go whilst knitting it. I just knitted it and then we decided when to start doing decreases and when to...
I actually think we write a... You swatched and then I wrote a spreadsheet and
yeah,
I just told you
there was a plan, but it was also, does that look right? Let's go from here. Let's decrease here, like in the sleeves. It was more. We didn't stick to the plan.
Okay. Didn't stick to the plan.
Not exactly.
It looks good though.
Yeah, it fits perfect. I love it. Where were we? I'm also wearing some knitted socks. This is probably the dirty bottom end of the socks. These are amazing socks. They're from Whistlebear.
Yeah, I don't know who they get to make them.
They're not hand knitted. But for socks made from really, really nice wool, they're very affordable. If you want to get some socks like this made in a really nice wool.
Yeah.
Where am I going with this?
Yeah, you'd usually pay a lot more for what they've given you.
Yeah.
They're good. They're very good walking socks, aren't they?
Yeah, they're big walking socks. They fit really well. They're sturdy, hard wearing, super warm.
Excited to see how they do wear.
Yeah.
And we have some other activities, Fibre activities to share, but we'll talk about finished objects first. And I think not that it's that big of an elephant in the room because it's on his head and it's just a small hat.
Oh yeah, my hat.
But Alex has got a finished object to share.
I finished my hat.
It's a lovely hat. It was yet another improvised hat, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. It was you knew from experience. I knitted you a black version basically, didn't I? And we just cast on the same amount of stitches. It's 2x2 rib.
2x2 rib.
And it's a DK yarn.
Yeah.
By Garthenor.
Yeah.
Polworth?
Polworth.
Was it Romney Polworth blend?
Romney and Polworth blend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did you find knitting?
So this hat was actually inspired by the yarn. So I saw the yarn first. We were at a yarn show.
We were at when we went to Unravel,
and it was the second person at the yarn show that had told me about the Polworth breed, and I just I needed to try it out. It sounded great. They completely sold me on it.
Johnny, it was Johnny at Garthenor, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But I'm really glad that you ended up buying 2 50-gram balls, didn't you? Or skeins. And if you wanted to do like a Fisher cap, like really short, you'd have just about been able to get one out, I reckon. But you did need the second skein. But I get to share a finished object too. And I'm going to share it this week, even though I'm not really talking about my knitting this week. Just so that Alex can wear them, because you are the best knitting husband, aren't you?
Am I?
Yeah,
yes.
You are. In that, I offered these to Alex because I finished them yesterday and he wouldn't wear them until we shared them on here. And I'm not that precious, like he's a lot better behaved than me in that regard. But...
Oh, and you used this yarn?
Yeah.
I've only just realised. Katt knits so quickly that she tells me about an idea and then suddenly we have slippers, and I've worked 60 hours this week, so I haven't even witnessed it happen, really.
No, you haven't witnessed it happen at all, have you? So
they match my hat.
So I knitted my elf slippers.
It's quite funny when you kind of hold your foot up to a camera.
And it's not the most flattering. But anyway, I knitted the elf slippers, and these are on my feet if I'm awake and in the house. And I take them everywhere I go with me. The yarn I use for them is very special, and I wanted to do the same for Alex. But Alex, he keeps borrowing them. He keeps putting them on and saying how good they felt. So I felt like he needed a pair in quite quickly. And as soon as he finished with his hat, I cast one of them on. But I'd cast it on in the inverse to what Alex had asked for when I showed him the first time that I was going to do this. But he had come in at like 8 p.m. or 9 p.m. on a Monday. You weren't. But anyway, so I ripped it back and cast it on, and I finished these in like 3 days. Even though as you can probably hear, I'm not feeling the best. And I've mostly slept, but in between sleeping I did finish these. These knit up super, super quickly. I knit them in DK as opposed to fingering weight yarn. I used the rest of Alex's lovely Garthenor. I think maybe it's not Beacons. Pentworth.
Anyway, you're going to insert it on the screen.
I will put it on the screen, and hopefully in the box below too. And then the other yarn, the dark grey that you can see, is our little base. So you got the special yarn, even though you were like, no, don't use the special yarn. Use the special yarn. And this is a blend of Ballet Blacknose and Jacob. But the way it's wearing for my socks is just awesome. I'm really impressed that I have been wearing these both in and out of the house, because I'm naughty tinker, and the stitch definition and the contrast between the stitches has really come out. I have not blocked these, so they're a bit wild right now, but they will smooth up, even up, and I really hope that this holds up as well as the Jacob and the Ballet. But you can wear these whenever you want.
They match my hat.
You can. Is that really classy, or is that really not?
Yeah.
But I've spoken to a few people that have mentioned about doing the toe decreases and found it a bit difficult on these. I didn't, but I found that I ended up magic looping this pair. I have used DPNs for previous, and I use a a DPN in the middle when I'm doing the toe decreases. So if you've got the 52 weeks of socks books by Liner magazine, this is where the pattern is. I think it's the only place you can get it, which is a bit of a thing. But you need to slip stitches onto the main needle to work. So I just use a DPN and it goes speedy. I mean, I think I bound off within like 3 minutes. So really enjoy these. Hope they last. And that's all for my knitting pretty much, I think. There you go.
Thank you very much. Ah, yeah, they feel so good.
I knitted them the exact same size as mine. I think I went down a needle side to what she recommends, but I'm very happy with them. Oh, should put googly eyes on and do a puppet show.
Puppet show. Oh, they're good, you know.
And it feels very strange actually recording it. We're recording when it's almost dark out.
On a weekend.
Yeah. I'm sipping on a hot Ribena again. I don't feel very well and I wanted something really comforting. I hope you have something nice too, whether it's water or a warm beverage of sorts.
I've got my third hot chocolate of the day. Because I'm an adult and I'm allowed to.
It's true. You get to make those decisions. I mean, hot Ribena. I don't drink this sort of thing very often at all, do I? But it is a right treat, and it's definitely warming my cobbles. Oh. This is actually another one of my finished objects, but you can
My tie.
tell the story if you want.
Have people seen any of this yet? No.
No?
So this is my favourite knitted item of the past month by miles. So we went to Devon and Cornwall for a little family holiday, which was fantastic. So nice to get away. And on the very last day of the week-long holiday, we were going to a wedding, sort of on the way home in Bristol. And after like the second or third day of the holiday, I remembered that I packed my suit and everything, but I forgot to take a tie with me. And so I said to Katt, can you knit me a tie? And actually, we kind of worked it out, we planned it out. Didn't take very long, did it?
No.
Planned it out, and then
I did a little swatch.
you had this yarn already.
Very luckily,
Very
I almost
luckily.
packed a jelly bean coloured self-striping yarn, so it would have been a very different tie.
And this is almost exactly the same colour as my suit.
Yeah, good.
Oh, it works perfectly with it anyway. I guess we'll put a photo in or something.
Yeah, definitely. You always laugh. I do my best, I promise.
But yeah, my tie. And since then we've been to another wedding, so
2
other weddings. Wow, in like 3 weeks. That's double the amount of weddings I've been to in my life in this month, basically. Yeah. So yeah, this has got 3 weddings under its belt now, under its tie now.
You've chosen that over your fancy Ted Baker tie.
Yeah. I love it. I'm not sure how long it will last.
No, hopefully it'll just felt. I might go over these. I've done a little bit of duplicate stitching detail. I'll take a picture and put it in.
And it is much harder to tie than a regular tie because of it being much more flexible.
It is quite drapey because I knitted it at a fairly tight gauge. Not too tight. I did say to you that I wasn't going to knit a tie in like 2.5 mil.
That's really good.
So it's using Wool Matters yarn, and I think her name's Sarah, that told me about this lovely company. And as soon as I saw the description on the Wool Matters Etsy, I kind of knew that it was something that I needed to try for my No Nylon sock project, which is why I packed the yarn. Is because I was like, as much as jelly bean self-striping socks will be fun to knit, because I do have gift knitting that I'd like to do, my heart really wanted to knit on a special woolly wool, so I thought I'd cast on a pair of socks, but I never did while we were there, did I? Because I cast on a tie. But this is, it was called the Leaves sock set, and on each like tag there's like special things written, but it is the natural sock set, 100% Shetland and Romney lamb's wool from ethically and regeneratively farmed sheep, fibre sourced and spun and botanically dyed by hand in the UK, and it's a 4-ply, and the main colour, which is this one, there was 100 grams and 360 metres, and then this contrast colour, this mustardy colour, there was a 20 gram mini with it. So a really lovely set, and really reasonably priced too for what it was. And I have finally cast on a pair of socks, but I've only done the toe, so there's nothing really to, that's my knitting for now. But this so far has been really lovely, and I anticipate using this yarn again, because it feels a lot softer than I'd say it looks. It looks quite rustic and looks like it would be prickly, but to me there's absolutely no prickle to that.
That's an interesting idea. Does yarn often not look how it feels and feel how it looks?
I think it can do, yeah. Like, what do you think? That doesn't... It looks like it should be like a... You know, when you have like your... I want to say my granddad, who's wearing like a really woolly
Oh,
and you're
yeah.
like, and you get it on your face.
It's quite a granddad colour too, isn't it?
Maybe it's that, but it doesn't have that feel at all. It's really, really very soft. So that's the fun tie story, and it was really special the first night you wore it. I will just say that I won't talk about the wedding itself or anything.
What a beautiful wedding.
Wasn't it? Did I cry?
Yeah.
It was really beautiful. It was a Fibre friend's wedding, and it was a real, like, more than an honour to be there and to be like in that group of creative and magic souls. But anyway, it was a really good first outing for your lovely tie.
Thank you.
And you are working on your socks still?
Race, yeah.
Yeah, alright. You've actually got two, like...
When I actually pick these things up, they go quite quickly, but I've been so busy. I keep saying that every time I'm in front of this camera.
You really
but
have.
I really have been so busy. I had a day at the London Coffee Festival a few weeks ago, and probably 2 inches of this was just knitted on the train on the way there and on the train on the way back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not that long of a journey, so you're knitting quite quick, really. I feel like the last 3 months have been where we don't talk about it, but the thing that happened, you worked through, apart from when we were getting married, pretty much. And then the last 3 months where you could maybe have had downtime, we've been playing catch up, be weddings or which has been lovely, but you haven't really had much knitting time. But these are, again...
West Yorkshire Spinners?
No, you're just totally off. These are improvised vanilla socks. This yarn is chromatic yarns.
Oh, is it?
Yeah,
Oh.
lovely Hannah.
Oh, that was the last sock set.
Yeah, you finished them.
Yeah.
This is by Hannah, who is the Corner of Craft or Chromatic Yarns, and this colourway is called Fluffernutter.
I knew that.
Yeah, I know you knew that.
I knew that.
But you haven't knitted with it in a while.
I knitted the first sort of up to the heel before Christmas, just after Christmas.
Yeah.
And I haven't picked them up since. I've been working on my hat. Everyone should own an orange hat.
You own two.
Bring you not but joy.
I need to knit myself.
But yeah, my socks, after knitting on the socks for a bit and then using slightly bigger needles, I feel like it was a bit of a brick for my hands. I find they cramp up a little bit with the smaller needles.
Yeah. Put that way. But so you've got 2 socks basically at this point where you've done cuff down and you've worked a garter stitch fish lips kiss heel.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're doing really well on them.
I'm getting there.
But your other work in progress has taken priority, but also you've not had time to work on it. But
yeah.
you've done quite a bit since you last showed it.
Have I?
Yeah, I think so.
So I've been working on my Gansey. The problem with my Gansey is that it's something that I need to really pay attention to when I knit it. So it usually takes a back seat if I get in from work and I just want to do an hour of knitting while we kind of watch a film or listen to an audiobook or something. But yeah, I've quite enjoyed doing the cables. It's an interesting. It feels like a puzzle almost, like you're following the way you follow the pattern. It kind of like, it feels like you're playing a little game. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a good way. Yeah, because you're matching.
Like a crossword puzzle or something.
Yeah, you're matching a code to something you have to do, but you're going between the key and the.
It is fun, but it just takes so much attention. Yeah.
So this is the Ardmore Gansey by Kate Davies, which is a modern take on a Gansey, and Alex has knitted the body in the round and has divided for the back and front, and is doing this cable detail which sits along the front until the neckline, and then you pick up and do the sleeves. And I think there's almost like a set-in sleeve shaping on it, which is amazing that you've done that. And then the chart is cabled, but there's like 3 or 4 little charts, isn't there, that you have to work at the same time?
There's 4, yeah.
So he's doing really good, and it's, I say it, but actually in the dark, if you're doing cables in the darkness while you're like, you're doing really good because you've not made any mistakes at all. It's looking really good.
If you've never tried knitting cables, do try it. It is fun.
Yeah.
The little cable needles are good that we use. They're like little bull horns.
They are. It's gone. Oh.
But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I am enjoying it, and I've not got too much more cabling to do. And then once all the cabling's out of the way, and I just have to do the back and the sleeves, I predict it will be quite quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, because then I can just watch films and knit away. Especially over like coming up to Christmas and the dark nights in the winter.
Yeah, it's actually quite nice. Put your porkies on, your little fingerless gloves, and sitting outside. Yeah. You'd be able to do that a bit easier. And Alex is using, I think it's called Ulysses.
It is.
It's
a French.
Yeah, Derrere Nature. Is that right? But it's a lovely.
Really nice French merino.
Yeah, 100% all. Very soft. Again, misleadingly soft from what it looks like. And it's coming along beautifully. And we do hope that once you've done this, potentially we can design one that you'll knit in more traditional Gansey wool and
with traditional Gansey patterns, yeah.
Which I will just mention while it's here, but I did recently invest in this. This again, I have to thank Ko-Fi support massively for this. I wouldn't have been able to buy it without it. But this I purchased in the hope that we would be able to support that make, and I would like to knit one for myself. And we've both got slightly different, heritage, ancestry journeys. So it'd be nice to like ponder and plan.
Yeah.
And there are some that from patterns in here in particular that are from places that your family are
That
from.
I'm from, yeah.
I won't share it because it's got the pattern in it next to all the pictures, but it has been a beautiful book. There's quite a few different charts in here. It's 150, yeah. And they're all very easy to read and it's quite clearly written. I haven't spent time with... There's a little bit of information at the front that I haven't spent time with yet. But I did notice there's some very cool information on gussets. And using gussets, not just at the armpits or the thumb, but using them on the shoulders to take away the collar or the neck from the neck, so that if it gets wet in the rain and things, it's not like rubbing against the sailors. Which I thought was quite interesting.
Very
It's quite a
sensible.
nice concept and way of shaping. So we'll have to look into that and see what fit. But yeah, so it's been a nice book so far. I'm not... Who's it by? There you go. I'll pop it there. Yeah, it's been a lovely little thing to flick through. It's been on the coffee table for a couple of weeks, and I think I'm going to do a project with it, but I'll share that once I've finished finicking.
That's not a word.
Have I just made a word up?
You've just made a word up. Finickening.
Finicking. Finickety. That's a word.
Yeah, but it's completely unrelated to...
But it's the same. It's like finicking. Okay, I'm gonna hit pause. Oh. And I guess quickly, just because I talk about this all the time, but this is Alex's version of my Nat Knits Crafts bag, and lovely Natalia made these for us as a surprise, and we have matching ones. And it's just lovely, very well made bag. I'm really hoping that Natalia eventually has time, bless her, to get more into this again if that's what she wants to do, because they are just like the best bags. Yay! That's all your knitting, isn't it?
Yeah.
I've had to write a list because
It's not all of our made things that we've made, though.
No. Well, do you want what?
We're coming to that already.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, but yeah, what do you want to share first? Have you got preferences?
The mushrooms.
The mushrooms.
The most exciting thing we've made.
They're your ones.
These are my ones.
And I've got
Look at these, they're fantastic.
little mushrooms. They are fun, aren't they? They're very whimsy. And also full of nature, like my socks.
Yeah, we've been placing them in the woods, trying to get photographs of them.
And these were from a set, and now I've taken off the lovely label. But when we were at the Southern Wall show, you can wear it. You can wear it. I won't stop you. I threatened to needle felt them into his jumper so he had really elaborate shoulder pads. Be great for Halloween though, wouldn't it?
Like a mushroom pirate.
And it's a mushroom pirate.
It's
Like a parrot. Can we... That needs to be a aesthetic, doesn't it?
Oh,
Mushroom pirate. Through the Rainbow were at the Southern Wall show, who seem to only be on Facebook, which is fine but a bit difficult. And we saw the toadstools, and instantly Alex was like yeah. Yeah. And it comes with everything you need to make them, including the needles, two needles, plenty of felt wool. Like we could make another half dozen probably, and it came with a little bag to rest your felting on while you're working on it. All you needed to do was fill it up with rice and then sew it up. But I ended up making myself one, which is a bit more lofty, weighty, but just so that we could do it together, because it's not a good idea sharing a mat.
It's incredibly easy when you know how. Once you get going with it to do needle felting, So you really wouldn't need a kit like this, really. But I highly recommend these kits from this company, just to get started with it. And gifts.
Yeah.
That's such a good gift.
Really lovely gift.
Yeah.
It is really quick. The needles, I'd never seen one with, like, knowingly. They're very simple, but they've got little barbs on that help the fibres stick to each other, and it is amazingly quick to see shapes forming. But you do just as you would expect, but a bit like sculpting clay, you kind of get it in towards the shape and then you start detailing and smushing the shape in, adding more if you need to, smush it in. I would say this one, it took me twice as long as it did for you.
There's twice as much detail though.
Yeah, but like I really tried to felt it quite heavily, but even then I've still not gone nearly as dense as I could.
But neither of us had tried needle felting.
No.
Or neither of us had even seen the needles, had we? I have since seen in a local yarn shop that you can get a holder for the needles to make it into a sort of tool, like a pen.
Yeah, so you can felt a lot more quite quickly.
Yeah.
Really, really a nice craft. Obviously, risk of jibbing yourself in the finger. Like,
yeah, I did that a few times.
you did. I think I did it a couple of times too. But by the time that you'd join in, once I'd figured it out,
Yeah.
I'd already got most of my stabbing done.
Perhaps a thimble?
Yeah, I think you can get little leather ones. You can. But it was a really nice thing to sit and do on a Sunday evening, wasn't it? And I would like to do some more for sure.
Yeah. Super easy.
Yeah, and having got into spinning, it will be nice to figure out little things to do with offcuts. Like I've got this other one, haven't I? Oh.
Offcuts.
Well, I'm a builder at heart, aren't I? Is that what builders say? Who says offcuts? Carpenter. So I made this little thing that's not really... There you go. You know, it's not really for anything, but it was just getting more of a feel of what you can do. And I feel like I used a pastry cutter to get it into an ish of a circle. Obviously it went a bit off-piste when I added the border, but I feel like that's a good idea to start too. If you want to do shapes, you can quite easily stuff them into whatever pastry cutter you've got. We've got a bunny rabbit in there. You can do a little Easter bunny. That's quite a good way to get started, and for obviously not the youngest ones, but if they're young enough to be dexterous to, you know, needle felt, it's quite a good way of getting into it. But yeah, that was a lovely craft. Do you want to talk about that one or that one, I guess?
You choose.
We need a dice.
Katt's just pointed at a brown paper bag, asking me if I want to talk about it, and I have no idea what it is, so... Oh, now I see the logo on it, I remember it. Yeah.
Do you want to talk about
So this was another part of our adventure to Devon. So Blacker Yarns is one of the reasons that Katt got really into knitting, really. And I can remember the day that I found their website whilst searching for a yarn supplier that was in some way parallel to the tea company that I work for, in terms of sourcing and having selections of different products with provenance. So whereas all the teas I sell, we can tell you the maker's name or the place where it comes from, then Blacker Yarns is a little bit like that with different breeds. So you can go on their website and you can like choose different yarns from different breeds of sheep. So I thought that was really interesting. So when we were in Devon, that's where they're based. I thought let's try and go along and see if we can get a tour of their mill. Unfortunately,
Yeah, both them and John Arbon.
Unfortunately, with the world being a little bit closed at the moment, there was no tours going.
But I can't remember her name, but she was very kind.
A lovely lady said we could still go along and pick up some yarn and she'd still show us.
We did get a little sneak at some things that are now released, didn't we? Some cool colourways. Different
colourways and things she showed us. Couldn't really go into the building too much and have a look around. We sort of had a half-hour chat in the car park, really, didn't we?
Very strange, but
it was a bit strange, but it was lovely. And obviously we had to buy a little bit of yarn just to sort of say we'd been there and
make that noise.
Crinkles.
I should have thought and taken it out beforehand. Oh. And you bought.
So I bought two skeins. Is it a skein? A ball.
Yeah, 2 balls of Lioness, 50% Falkland wool and 50% linen, in these 2 really beautiful colours. And
Katt doesn't use a lot of linen.
No.
Or have you really ever used linen?
I've used a little bit.
A little bit.
A little bit.
So I thought that would be a fun one to try. I really love the colours. They're kind of muted and
slightly feathered.
Sort of look like the colour of the sort of shirts I would wear.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And you thought that it should be a little summer top, didn't you? So you think stripy.
So the blue and the grey and the kind of, it reminded me of the sea where we were. So
it is quite like Cornish
colours, seaside. That's what I was thinking when we were there. So
you're gonna help me design a top?
That seemed to be the colours to choose, I thought.
Hopefully we can. I think we'll get a top out of this. Be a little top. Won't be a loosey goosey top, but we can. It's gonna be lush. Yeah. Oh, it smells sheepier than I thought, considering there's linen in there. It's nice though. Yeah. That was a fun little adventure, wasn't it?
Yeah. Hopefully we can go back and get a tour of their mill next year or so, or whenever.
Yeah, we've got unfinished business. I would really like to visit John Arbon, so we'll have to do maybe we'll organise a Fibre holiday with Fibre friends.
Can do that.
The next thing, this is the last, apart from giveaway winners, this is the last thing to talk about, and it's some undyed black yarn. No, joke. But that's what you've been using for.
Oh, to dye yarn.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've done a load of dyeing recently.
So Alex has turned this Blacker Yarns woolen spun classic Aran yarn into. I can hold stuff for you.
Yeah, let's hold all of them.
Yeah, so these are the all recent ones, aren't they?
Yeah. Let's not get them mixed up.
Yeah.
Have you shared these before?
I have, but not with you.
Okay.
And then these are the ones that Alex had previously done. So Alex has got like this awesome colour palette going on, which is very natural colours. But
they're natural colours.
No, I know, but it's amazing that you got this with cabbage.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Yeah.
They're an unnatural looking colour.
Yeah.
Yeah. All naturally dyed. Lots of fun. I've got a light shining in my face. See what I'm looking at here?
Can you remember which ones?
Yeah.
These two, the elderberries?
Yeah.
And this one is the random bark.
Yeah. You'd think it was the other way around, wouldn't you? Look, it looks sort of brown in this light, but these ones were elderberries, which I foraged from the towpath of the local canal, the Grand Union Canal. And this one is from basically a bunch of rotten wood that I found on the forest floor at Whippendale Woods. Just a bit of old, not even a big amount, just a little bit of rotten bark from the trees that they'd cut down with the forestry work going on. So it's turned out really nice actually.
It's a really good
It's like a
colour.
really nice kind of green,
Yeah, it's like a
mustardy, yellowy green colour. Yeah. It's all about experimenting, I think.
Yeah, I think you didn't. Did you add any iron to any of them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I added iron to all three of these ones. Yeah.
And you just used the alum mordant.
No, I didn't.
No,
I
you
just used
Just
the
used
iron.
as the mordant.
So basically rusty nails. Yeah.
You didn't use anything to help.
No,
Wow.
just these ones.
Canny.
What should Katt knit with them? That's the question. Do you have a plan?
Well, I had planned a white cable jumper, but
It's not going to be white anymore then, is it?
but I feel like it should. Colour work would be fun, but it wouldn't go as far. So I feel like just a stripes jumper maybe.
Yeah.
Or we could do like a big shawl.
This is really nice.
I think that's my favourite one.
This is the
Mexican.
Mexican tarragon, yeah.
They're the cabbage.
Cabbage, yeah.
That was the first wash and this was the second.
Turmeric and Dyer's greenweed. Yeah.
It's amazing, isn't it? What colours you've managed
And
to
I'm
get.
doing a little experiment with chamomile at the moment, so we'll see how that goes in a few weeks.
We were a bit upset when we left a place we visited.
Oh god, we went
Yeah.
when last time we were in the northeast. We found a field, more than a field, moors,
Yeah,
like
more.
a vast moorland full of bilberries. As far as the eye could see, almost. A little bit of an exaggeration, but there was a lot of them.
There was a lot.
We weren't 100% sure what they were on the day, so we didn't pick any. And then the day after we realised what they were. Delicious food and excellent for dyeing apparently, so next year we'll go back.
What's the phrase? If you don't know it, don't eat it. I mean, that's a good one, but it's not the actual phrase. But we did actively.
Foraging is, you gotta be
Yeah.
careful, yeah.
We were better to be safe than sorry. That's the. But yeah, so next year we'll know where to go if we can remember.
Yeah.
And we're gonna try and think of a way of planning our little books. I think I've spoken about it before, and I did a post on Ko-fi on how I set up my week in my little book that I've got. And I'm hoping to figure out a way within the months next year to put in plant this, plant that, forage this, pick that, because there's always so many.
You always forget.
Yeah, and it's hard to, especially with the ones that you've only just discovered, unless you like, with wild garlic years ago we just dive right in and so it stayed with us forever. But if you don't like the bilberries, because we didn't pick them, it might be difficult to like set in the stone, you know. But I think that's everything in terms of knitting and fibre, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just giveaway. That's exciting. I did pull some. The way I've done it is I've done 2 from a random comment picker. One for spinning and one for knitting stuff. Or crochet. It could, whatever you want to make with it. But I have 2 lovely extra skeins from lovely Marina, sorry Marina again, that I would like to pass on because I have 3 that I can definitely do a project with, and I just feel like it's nice to give. And I've let Alex pick his favourite story, and his favourite story will receive the giveaway prize of Marina's yarn. So there you go. Let's find them. So the winner of the spinning prize is Erica. I will put your name on the screen and a picture of the story. Should I read the story?
I wasn't sure if people wanted their stories read out, but people have put their stories for everyone to read anyway, so
I'll give the
probably
gist.
fine.
Gist story.
I'd read it.
But I did think this was really quite lovely because for me it built on connection, but it's family connection and it's just wholesome. But my yarn story is about when I started knitting. My sister was trying to explain to me how to knit my first blouse, but the complication was that we were trying to do it through a video call and with the phone. Knitting became another way to connect with my sister. I would love to try spinning. Maybe I could teach my sister after I learn it. Isn't that nice?
Yeah.
She's taught her knitting. She gets to repay by. So, Erica, please get in touch. I would say email's probably the best. I'm doing my best with Instagram, but I've got to say Instagram and YouTube is a little bit slow at the moment, just because I've done a lot more sleeping than typing than normal. But I'm getting better, promise. But that's really nice, and it will be really fun to know if Erica ever gets to teach her sister how to spin.
Yeah. To be continued.
Yeah. I hope that in a year's time I get to send her another spindle and her sister can have it. And then the second winner for the yarn is More Knits, and I'm sure that's how it's said, but it's on the screen. Who also has a YouTube podcast, I know that. But again, it's really quite a nice story. Is my first introduction into the yarn world was listening to my granny's stories of growing up on a farm in Orkney. Every year when they sheared the sheep and spun the yarn, all the kids would be putting in their orders for a new jumper. They would also unravel jumpers a lot to knit bigger ones, so a lot of reusing yarn happened because of the whole process from sheep to jumper, all done by hand by them. She was also a very big sock knitter, and she said that growing up they would always knit the heels and toes in different yarn so that when they got worn out they could just rip out those sections and re-knit them without having to knit a whole new pair. I was always so jealous of their slow lives. The fast pace of today's world can be so overwhelming. I'd love some more yarny goodness. Very. Yeah. It's true.
Excellent.
That's how I think. Simple and tangible. So that's nice. I hope that you get in touch and yeah. Orkney.
Yeah.
Granny's in Orkney. And you actually picked a few for an honourable mention.
I did. I read a lot of them, and it was almost impossible to pick. There was so many great stories on there. I had a sheet of paper with some. Cut. So I read a lot of the stories. No, I actually read through all of the comments on this one.
You actually reread them all today, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. So many lovely stories. Shout out to Sandra's story, who's got is it a grandchild or a nephew? I must remember.
Yeah.
5-year-old grandson, and every time he visits he asks what she is yarning. And I love that. I love that phrasing of, what are you yarning today?
What are you yarning?
What are you yarning?
What are you yarning?
Yeah. I love that. Simple. Also the skipper knit, who is a lady ship's captain in Canada on an island. It sounded like an incredible life that you have, and you should have a YouTube channel, I think. So yeah, shout out to you. That was fascinating.
Goodness, I'm gonna cough again. It's too nice. It's too nice about our space, but yeah.
There's some really lovely complimentary comments as well, and yeah, it's worth having a read of some of the other comments on that video if anyone's interested. I won't read them out, but yeah, the skipper knits, that was a lovely comment, and I want to know more. What kind of ship is it? What kind of boat is it? Tell me everything. Also, Amy C271.
Yeah, I liked this too.
So Amy C271 wrote a lovely comment. Just commenting on how when you buy a garment or find one in a, was it in a charity shop or in a like second hand shop, and then you can, was this person repicking them?
Yeah, unpicking them.
Unpicking them and thinking about the hands that made the items originally. And I love that idea of imagining who made it, a handmade item, whatever it is, whether it's a garment or whether it's some handmade pottery. I just love the idea of the hands that made it, especially if something that's old, so when time's gone past and it's kind of, it could be 100 years ago.
And thinking about how different the environment
the
would have
world
been
would have been a different place, and it's a real connection to history and to people, and
it's a lot bigger than just you or us, isn't it? It becomes like connected on a much bigger scale.
Just a really nice idea. And then another comment to shout out, sorry, we're kind of trying to remind ourselves of the notes that I wrote down, scribbled, and can't read my own handwriting. So Bria07 started knitting when she was 7 years old, which is incredible, and has a heartwarming story about knitting at school and feeling like a little bit of an outsider, maybe, is what I'm getting from the comments, and then gradually ending up helping to teach the whole classroom to knit. So, yeah.
Knitting in the playground, one of our teachers came outside and noticed me knitting, and then she taught me how to crochet. We'd sit together every break time and crochet together. We ended up getting the whole class to learn how to finger crochet.
Brilliant.
Isn't that really cool?
Yeah, sweet story. Another one to shout out, I won't go through all of them because there's quite a few. Alice Langham, who had an elderly grandma, 95 years old, who was sort of a little bit apprehensive about knitting and not being able to finish it, which is really quite sad but also lovely. It's a nice sweet story. Hit me with the feels, that story. Yeah.
Spend some time if you would like a bit of a joy.
Yeah. The old kid? Is it the old kid? Just a really, really sweet comment, very complimentary, but just shout out.
Talented artist. Oh yeah. Just make me blush.
Another lovely one.
This episode might not be as good for relaxing. I'm kidding.
And then I think that's it. But then the one I chose to, so the timer ran out on the camera and we were very unorganised with the actual comments.
We were, yeah.
I wrote my notes and I couldn't read them. So it was very, very difficult for me to pick one. I read them all today again.
It was a bit of a mean task.
It was a mean task. There's very touching comments. Katt put people in a random generator and I have to choose a favourite. I guess a favourite. So if I couldn't choose a favourite, I chose sort of 10 favourites. I mentioned a few of them, but the one that I'm gonna say should win the prize. Is it a prize?
Yeah,
it's a gift.
It's a gift away.
It's not really a prize, is it?
No.
It's just passing something on. That's nice. Is Night Sky Knitting. They had a lovely little story about taking up knitting and crocheting during the pandemic. I'll read it. I took up knitting and crochet during the pandemic, and I haven't been able to participate in the community beyond podcasts, but I have my answer. My grandfather and I have very little to say to each other. I know he loves me, but in general does not know how to talk to me in the way he finds it much more natural to talk to my many male cousins. But one day, on a visit, I brought my first ever sock to knit on, and he lit up and immediately identified, faster than my mum and step-grandma, that I had already turned the heel, and now we have something to talk about. He isn't a knitter, but turns out his mother was, and he remembers a lot of what he learned from her and admires it greatly. She used to make all his socks, so that is my... She used to make all his socks, so that is my wonderful moment of connection and entry into a better relationship with my grandfather. We can talk sheep in knitting now. So I just think that's really sweet that knitting has connected two people in a family who needed that extra bond. Maybe it's just created a slightly bigger bond between two people who wanted more of a connection with each other but couldn't necessarily find the right channel to do that. Personally, that I find that my grandfather was in the military all of his life, basically. He's very kind of strict and very really lovely, but very different from me, so it was quite difficult for me to chat to him. But he used to drive tanks, and I used to love making airfix models of tanks, like gluing them together. So that was the thing that connected me and my grandfather when I was a kid. So it speaks to me a little bit, that comment. So that's the one I chose.
Amazing. Yeah, everyone, if you've been mentioned for winning a prize, please do get in touch, because I would really like to gift, especially, I'm very excited to pass on the spindle, and I have a feeling that because now I'm the proud owner of 3, I will want to give another one in the future, but I would like to get to know them first. I think I know the 2 that have kind of spoken to me most, and I do think, much as a knitter I gave attention to what needles, as soon as I understood that I didn't enjoy the needles that I had, and I'd learnt that there was many kinds. I think it's a similar thing, like you it's good to experiment and play, and you'll find the ones that, like, I hate to use the crap analogy, but you know, like Harry Potter's wand, it doesn't have like the hair blowing moment, but it'd be cool if it did. But you know that moment where you're like, oh yeah. And I feel like that has happened with needles for me. Again, not with the hair, but that kind of... So it'll be fun to, again, be able to pass another one forward at some point soon. But I am really enjoying spinning it. I haven't done very much this week, because I've been in bed and in bed some more. So I haven't even really done much standing or sitting to do it. So hopefully I'll get to do some next week. And what else? Before we're wrapping up, I guess. Have we got any other things to share? Really?
Just stroke a dog, stroke a cat, call your parents, call your grandparents. I think that's good life advice in general.
Yeah. Ride a bike. Time a man spends fishing is not deducted from his life. That's
something like that.
Yeah. We've got
some exciting plans next week.
Hopefully all goes well. I need to make sure I'm 100% better. I'm not going to do any contaminating of anyone.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we do hopefully have something very exciting, and which will be fun to share. And I'm still trying to organise if we're going to do something for not being at Rhinebeck. Obviously we weren't ever going to get to Rhinebeck, but you know, like, it'll be fun to do a not at Rhinebeck party of sorts, whether that's just hanging out on Discord or setting up a Zoom call or something. Most likely Discord, but that would be fun. And yeah, like Alex said, stroke a dog, stroke a cat. Be excellent to each other. Remember, simple's usually good. Hydrate. It's a simple one, but it's often forgotten.
Just waffle.
Waffles. Eat waffles. Talk waffles. Dream waffles. I'm kidding. Right. Alex is taking charge of cooking. I'm going to take charge of putting all this fibre away. Or planning a knitting project. No, I'm not planning a knitting project. So yeah, it was really lovely to have you here. I'm sorry that we're a bit chaotic together, maybe? Nah.
A bit.
I think you just need to... You be brave. You're brave still. I'm sorry I make you do that.
And you haven't coughed or sneezed for at least 13 minutes.
Are you proud? Yeah, I'm proud. Fisherman's Friends have been really helping. Yes. Anyway, with that, thank you so much for
Waffle.
for nickening with us. Thank you so much for joining us. It really has been a pleasure. I hope to see you again soon. Don't forget to love each other. Oh yeah, 4th of February 2022. Be there.